My name is Jennifer Harris. I'm the president of America's Hometown Laureates, and I would like to welcome you all as well. This is our second time coming here to the beautiful Mayflower Society House and being in the Solarium. And I wanted to take just a minute with my introduction, if you'll bear with me. Haiku written yesterday for my interview on WATD to the local radio station to promote tonight's event. Celebrate poets, National Poetry Month. Let's write a haiku. One of the exciting parts about National Poetry Month is that there's lots of events all over. So we had some competition tonight. I believe the Pembroke Public Library was hosting a poetry reading, and one of, I consider, our poets, Elaine Sorrentino, is speaking there tonight. There's someone else also, I'm forgetting who it was. Are you Dennis?
I'm Graham.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm waiting for Dennis. He's one of the readers. Anyhow, Elaine was kind enough to give me permission to read one of her haikus. So it's bona fide poets spend one short month each year converting haters. So that also featured National Poetry Month. I also, on a more personal note, I'd like to say that I get a lot of support, obviously, through the community here in Plymouth and the work that I do, but from my family and friends. And most of you know I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Go Cavs. I know you guys are Celtics fans. But one of my dearest friends from high school, her name is Amy Georgalis, is one of my greatest fans, and she supports the work that I do here. And when I was talking about we were having a tiny poetry reading, she said she had written a haiku, and I asked her if she would be willing to share it. And so she was thrilled. So here we go. Words flowing easy, butterflies flutter inside, interest peaked. So I believe she is out there meeting people, and this was one of her inspirations. So it is now time for me to take a moment to thank our sponsors, which is always the Plymouth Foundation, is how we originally came together by creating the Poet Laureate program. Tonight we have Miriam O'Neill, who's our current Poet Laureate. This was also grant funded by the Plymouth Cultural Council, and we always get great support from the local scene. That's why we're being recorded tonight. And this will end up being edited and then on YouTube for everyone to see. We also like to thank the Mayflower Society House, and specifically tonight's event is inspired by Tiny & Sons Auto Glass. Peter Brown, many of you know him, very generous throughout the town. He sponsors many things, but I was talking with him and went with the name Tiny and said, well, you know, there's haiku. And so it started a kind of thing that we have. So at the Waterfront Festival last year, we created the writing pads, which are all free. Anyone can take that to inspire your writing. And then I wanted to dedicate today's event to encouraging poets who are already doing your own thing. Some of you write haiku, tanka, or shijo, and giving you an opportunity to focus on that. I expect to do other things similarly down the road. But that is my thank you to Tiny & Sons. And I believe we're ready to begin the program. So I'd like to ask Anita Wallet to come to the podium.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. I have 3 cinquain, which are 5-line poems with a specific syllable count. A little introduction for them. They are from a chapbook published by the Autism Society of America called My Heart, Your Soul. I particularly want to read them now. My work with children with autism was extensive, and I've been pretty upset for a while with some things that have been said lately about autism. So I would just like to read these 3 cinquain that I wrote about the children that I know best. As an aside, I have two, this was published in 1995, so this is not new. I have 2 extra copies of this chapbook, so if anyone is living with people in the world of autism and you would like them, I would be happy to give these two away. I can't describe these children to people who don't know them. There are 3 cinquains. An anemone, born in a midnight sea, stretching toward the amazing sun, gently waving in darkness, unobserved. Neon explosions, bright, breathtaking patterns, formed in a wilderness sky, fireworks spelling out answers, unwitnessed. A turquoise iceberg, filled with aqua flowers, floating near the equator, cooling angelfish as they swim, unaware. And then I have 3 haiku, sort of from James Bay, slightly north of Moosonee in northern Ontario. Tiny strawberries, picked and eaten at sunrise, increase our hunger. Fossilized insects, lodestones from Arctic islands, balance our canoe. Wild, loud loon cries, sparks of danger and darkness, hold us together. Thanks.
And just as a quick aside before we get to the next poem, in following that up, just so you know, twice a week we have a class that some students in here who are autistic. They're here from 3:30 to 5:30, so they were here as that was what we had as a rental prior to, or as an activity before you guys came. So autism is kind of important to us too. So
Thank you, Mark. So I have, Tizini, I don't believe is here. So I have someone new who's joining us, Janet Shu. If you would come up, please.
So I wanted to say thank you. My son has autism, and yes, I won't talk about politics. I have 5 Tonka. Late spring, magnolia blooms on bare brown branches, dipping towards narcissi. Wind eddies tangle my hair, scribe this memory into knots. Composition. Pebbles sing descant to foam-capped breakers, singing rhythmic melody. Kneeling, I pluck a sharp note, place it in my jean pocket. Morning, still cloudless expanse, floats the setting gibbous moon. Sudden puff of wind paints pointless leaves on glass while I continue driving. Winter moonrise, gibbous shining bright through storm clouds to reflect on sand grains and pebbles, barely shift from the pressure of my slow footsteps. The pond, thin ice for humans, perfect for 2 quick otters, skating and spinning. My mind whirls as each year makes a new record for warmth.
Thank you, Janet. We hope to hear more from you in the future. John Holgerson.
Good evening. My thanks to Jennifer Harris, as always, the Mayflower Society, and the other sponsors. Whenever a poet has the opportunity to read his or her works, it's always greatly appreciated. The first poem I have is Tonka Triptych. A triptych are 3 poems that have something in common. In this case, it's a theme. Each of these Tonkas was written at a different point in time in my life, but I put them all together as one poem when my 3rd book of poetry, Convictions of the Heart, had been accepted for publication. So the editor suggested that I put them all together as one, and I did. Tonka Triptych. The absence of you. A shawl across my shoulders, drawn tighter by the stillness of trees, the silence of birds. Watching the moon float amid cruising charcoal clouds, an ashen boy on an onyx ocean, I thought of you tonight. The old dog lies down, headstone shade blankets him. He waits as before, head on the ground, dreaming in smell of earth, scent of home. This next poem is just a short 9-line poem. Cross Currents for Izzy M.G. For a few hours, in time's random rhythm, our currents crossed, so we would share a memory found and then lost when the swifter current pulled away politely at the delta of age. I do have a haiku. The city of Newton runs a contest, or has run a contest for the last 5 years, called Haiku Newton. And you submit a haiku. If it's one of the ones that's selected, your haiku gets placed on a large yard sign that's placed somewhere on public property owned by the city of Newton, and it sits there so passersby can read it. The theme of Haiku Newton this year was renewal or generation. Renewal or regeneration. They had over 250 submissions. I'm pleased to say that mine was one of the 30 that was accepted. So I'll probably be on some yard sign. I'm just hoping it's not outside the landfill or the wastewater treatment plant. The snake sheds its skin. Caterpillar, its cocoon. Me, my inner fear. The last poem I want to read is one that I wrote within the last 2 months. If I'd written it a year ago, it would be considered a dystopian poem and probably an Orwellian perspective of some future society. But because I wrote it within the last 2 months, it's really just a report on current events. And I'm reading it tonight for the best reason one can ever have. My wife asked me to. It's called If Your Neighbor Disappears, after the poem Warning by Leonard Cohen. If your neighbor disappears, oh, if your neighbor disappears, the Hispanic man from Venezuela who helped you paint your house, the young woman who babysat your children dressed proudly in that rainbow-colored blouse. If your neighbor disappears, oh, if your neighbor disappears, don't ask what happened to the Palestinian youth who lives on your block, or to the multi-tattooed black man with whom you like to talk. Watch out for the men wearing balaclavas who cruise our streets each day. They have a plan you can't ignore, or they'll come a tapping, rapping, pounding on your door when your neighbors disappear. When your neighbors disappear. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next up is Marilyn Gove.
Come on, I deserve applause too. You can do better than that. This may be the only time I get it all month, so thank you very much. When I received, the invitation about tonight, I just love this venue. So I just really wanted to be here, but I don't generally write haiku. If you tell me 575, my head spins. I write poetry, and sometimes I don't even know what kind of poetry I've written. But I decided, even though I could come tonight and, sit and listen, I decided to write a few haiku and take on the challenge. So thank you very much, Jennifer. The first thing is, I'm in a workshop up in Westwood. I'm one of maybe 10 poets who refer to themselves as the Tuesday evening poets. And we recently, or actually the former poet laureate Lynn Vitti, actually had this small micro chapbook developed, and it was distributed throughout Westwood. So I have what I would call a short poem in here, and now all I have to do is find it, and then I can read it to you. It was actually part of a larger poem, which I felt never fit. And then it occurred to me, this is its own poem. So I grabbed it and took it out. Anyone remember the blizzard of 1978? Oh, yes. Yeah, everybody does. So this poem is titled The Blizzard of 1978. The gray bone of winter pounds the northeast with heavy snow. Streets howl with despair. Trees topple. Power goes out. Shabbat candles dot the darkened house with circles of light. Okay. And now, onto those wonderful haiku I wrote for this occasion. Haiku, courage. There is no excuse. This life is of your own making. Attitude is malleable. Haiku. Imagine. The canvas is blank. Watercolors, oil pastels, crayons in a box. The last haiku, day's end. Shadows paint the wall. Dusk draws daylight from the sky. Planes soar overhead. And I have one, again, another short poem, called A Different Time. I think of my patio in Southern California, sunlight warming the coarse edges of its stucco walls, palm trees lulled by a melodic wind, Lady Ella's sultry voice scat singing in the background, a glass of iced tea sweating on a small outdoor table. And I thought we were supposed to read for 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
What's that?
Is anyone timing?
No, I know. So, and also the invite said you could read anybody's poetry, not just your own. So, we all look for usually some very famous poet and we read something. But a poet friend, recently, as was discussed tonight, has written this new book. So I wanted to read one of her haiku. We got to promote ourselves, right? Haiku bouquet, number 1. Dilapidated fence, pig wanders over for breakfast. Outdoor bridal shower, guest unwrap their umbrellas. Divided nation, half want chocolate chip, the other sorbet. And there's one more, and this, of course, is by Elaine Sorrentino. I should have mentioned her name. I know it's been mentioned earlier. And Jennifer read
Would you call it a stanza, one of 3 stanzas in the haiku?
No, a haiku is typically just 5, 7, 5.
Okay, well, there are 3 5-7-5s in this particular haiku, so, yeah. As you can see, I didn't get my degree in, I didn't get a creative arts degree. Haiku bouquet number 2. Bona fide poets spend 1 short month each year converting haters. Trick-or-treaters asleep, I Google what wine pairs with Snickers. Hoofprints on the roof, I don't believe in Santa, must be unicorns. Elaine actually read that. I heard it last year at one of the events that, Marion has. I remember laughing, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Next up is Sheila Lynch Bentinen.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, for doing this. And the poster that went with this event was fabulous.
Powderhorn Press.
Powderhorn Press.
Mm-hmm.
And
Highly recommend them.
also, thank you to the Mayflower House and the sponsors. So 1 day a week, pendulous cherry trees are at their peak. And this one right here is at its peak tonight. So while I was listening to the poets, if you look in the mirror, the cherry tree is in the background. And it's like, wow, it's really wonderful. Thank you. So I write lots of haikus. I had to, when you said 5 minutes, I have lots of haikus. Yes. Bog haiku. A great blue heron glides over cranberry bog. My breath stops to watch. Green haiku. How many shades of green can early spring offer? I hope I never stop counting. This is a published haiku. A murder of crows, an unkindness of ravens, a season of wars. Forgiving haiku. What if all grudges turned into understanding, flew away like wrens? This is a tanka, which I do write tankas. I've never written sijos before, and that was a delight. Where is my home tanka? Travel the whole world, search every ocean and land, climb every mountain, then you will come to realize it was in you all the time. This is another published haiku. My daughter and I compare algorithms on different planets. This haiku I wrote has been stolen all over the internet without any attribution. So if you ever read it, I wrote it. and it was published. Amazonnesia, forgetting what one ordered, doorstep mystery. This is another published one. Statistics show that full moon has sleep disruption. Count me in tonight. Getting older haiku. I watch my skin wrinkle. To dust I shall return. In the meantime, I tango. Lost haiku. Driving in the fog, having a deja vu feeling. Past calculus class. Love haiku. If you have to ask if you are truly in love, you are surely not. Postcards Tonka. I send bright postcards back to the way my life once was. Long distance postage. So glad you found your true home, having a wonderful time. Praise haiku. I do not need to praise the coming June solstice. Peonies do that. Rhyme haiku. It is fine to rhyme. You would think it was a crime. Poet prison time. Still haiku. Soft spring rain on roof. Frogs peep out their night chorus. Distant wars still on. April hummingbird tonka. I watch movement maps. I wait with sugary hands. Hummingbirds arrive. Small wings beat faster than hearts. They flew right through immigration. COVID haiku. COVID lessons learned. All is interdependent, and I like sweatpants. Birthday Korean, do you say Shijo? Shijo. You ask how old I am. Many candles on my birthday cake. I have changed through several lives, like wind and clouds. Do you have a phone? Time to call the firemen for cake inferno. New England spring Shijo. This is the last one. Spring came in like a sullen teenager with acne and braces. Spring left like a prom queen, coral taffeta azaleas, pink peonies, smelling like the perfume counter at Nordstrom's. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Sheila. Thank you. And it made me realize I'm going to mimic U.S. Poet Laureate Robert Pinsky when he was recently here at the Spire. He took a moment to educate. And I realized we're recording this, and perhaps some people don't actually know the specifics. So I'm assuming all you poets do. However, I'm just going to throw in that haiku is a Japanese poetic form. It has 3 lines consisting of 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second line, and 5 syllables in the third line. The poem includes a kariji, or cutting word, or a seasonal reference. Tanka is also Japanese, is a 31-syllable poem, traditionally written in a single unbroken line. It's considered a short song. Tanka translates to short poem or short song, and is a form of waka, the broad term for Japanese poetry. And finally, shijo is a traditional 3-line Korean poetic form, typically exploring cosmological, metaphysical, or pastoral themes. So you can put that in your memory banks for the next time you're writing. And I'm going to bring up Desmond Curran.
Thank you. So you might have seen me out in Plymouth. I am a traveling troubadour. So I do poetry, but I also do Shakespeare, I do scenes from movies, I do acoustic music, and I do rap for kids with no swears. I'll do a poem for you at the end. This first one is just called Wisdom. So I thought if we brought all the historical figures back here in time, both mythical, legendary, and real, what would they think of this world we live in now? Nothing is real, it's all a facade. I look to the devil, he gives me a nod. I turn around to Jesus, he's liquored up good, mumbles something about he'd help if he could. And the thing of this place, it's wrecking my brain, dropped in a mad world trying to stay sane. Headed to the temple to get some release. Buddha says meditation ain't peace. Said my lover turned on me, broke my kind heart. I'm selling the temple to make a new start. Samson and Delilah filing for divorce. Skywalker's crying because he can't find the force. Clark Kent knocking on the last telephone booth. Honest Abe's inside, making a call to the truth. I headed for clarity down by the sea. I saw Noah throwing over his last chimpanzee. He said, I'm selling this sucker for an Airbnb. And then he cackled at the sky hysterically. Had a call from George just yesterday. He said, my cherry tree is withering away. Too much sun, too little rain, was all he said with a look of disdain. Headed to the Cape to check in with John. He said, man, this country's losing its song. I took a train down south to have a sit down with King. He said, I lost my hearing aids, son. I can't hear freedom ring. I made one last trip to Walden Pond, and Thoreau said, Des, this is not where you belong, but you're here now and you gotta stay strong. And don't forget the words to your song. And the thing of this place, it's wrecking my brain, dropped in a mad world. Trying to stay sane. Thank you. I appreciate it, thank you. So I love handwritten letters, and I sent out 5 about a year ago, and I didn't get one back, and I didn't even get a call or even a text to say, thank you so much for the handwritten letter. So actually I had to call all the people and say, did you get my letter? And they said, oh yeah, I've just been so busy. So this is called unrequited letters. Secret news spread out on pages, vulnerability in between. Unrequited letters, read but never seen, scanned but not absorbed, forgotten and ignored. The art of the written word has tacitly turned to dust, replaced by texts and emails that really don't say much. Too personal, too threatening, too human in every way. Unrequited letters are a forgotten yesterday. Cursive writing elegant is now obsolete. A twitch of our fingers punch out messages, factual, stiff and neat. Sir Gawain has been murdered, King Arthur exiled too. The Knights of the Round Table have better things to do. Unrequited letters, unopened and discarded. Hemingway, Yeats, O'Keeffe, saw broken-hearted. Too personal, too threatening, too human in every way. Unrequited letters are a forgotten yesterday. Thank you. So I'm gonna do a poem for you, because you're so young. You must be, what am I doing here? So I do rap. I'm not gonna rap, but I always tell people on the street when I rap, I don't swear at all. So you have to come and see me out on the Rotary in Plymouth, okay? So my daughter was in Peter Pan. What's your name?
Ellie.
Hey, Ellie. So my daughter was in Peter Pan, and she played Wendy, okay? And when I was watching, she's great, but all the fairies kept saying, no one believes in fairies anymore. And I said, well, I do. So I wrote this. Don't believe in fairies? Well, they believe in you. Close your eyes, mesmerize, gain a different view. Overhead, up above, and purple noon neglected, tender heart, barely touch, gain a new perspective. In the wonder of a fresh breath morn, in the power of a savage winter storm, a royal scarlet tapestry hangs like a mystic's dream. Have faith in magic, just waiting to be seen. Skip a stone, dance a beat, feel it through and through. Close your eyes, memorize, gain a different view. Fairies, fairies everywhere, they believe in you. I'll do one more quick one. This is called, I had a really hard year last year. Both my brothers took their lives. Yeah, within 7 months. And one was an Emmy Award-winning cameraman out in Los Angeles. And the other one had 2 movie houses, both very talented, no drugs or alcohol. But when we were out all the time, my brother Tom would say, because he was a cameraman, look at the light. It's perfect right now, Des. And he'd say, the Cape and Hawaii were the best places to film. And my brother Gavin had an incredible sense of humor. So both of them always looked for the light in everything and everyone. So in memory of them, this is called Years Ago. I saw a rainbow years ago with a color I'd never seen. The color was familiar though. I'd seen it in a dream. It was spectacular and sensitive, a bit of gentle too. With it were some indigo, violet and blue. But this color was eclectic, a shy kind of hue. And suddenly it faded, sun appeared as if on cue. I've searched through mountain peaks, aqua glaciers through and through, northern lights, mirages. I've scoured both those too. I've searched the eyes of strangers, stared into flames hours on end, examined my empty wine glass, watched day fall to twilight, the colors and how they blend. Maybe once was just so special, this color that put on her show. It all happened in the sky so many years ago. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Desmond. And when can people see you out by the Rotary?
So I'm usually out there every day after 12. I do go to Boston a lot to perform, but I'm called the Traveling Troubadour. So if you go on Facebook and look up Desmond Curran, the Traveling Troubadour, I usually post, and I just have a book that comes out tomorrow called True Places, and it's memory of my brothers, healing for them, and there's a poem in there called True Places.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for
guys.
sharing
Yeah.
that. Desmond.
Yes,
This is helpful. Fairies were mentioned. Okay, so we have Mary McKenna. Would she please come up?
So I'm delighted to be here, and I just wanted to say, you know, I recognize so many people, and I was talking to a friend who doesn't do this kind of thing, and I said, I have a tribe, and I think we are kind of like that. You know, we don't know a lot about each other, but we share this one thing, and we share it in such a beautiful way often. So, you know, we have a tribe. And so I thank you for allowing us to be here. I want to explain that. First of all, I had so much fun today. And do you know what Google is? Yes, you do. So basically, I didn't have too much familiarity with these short poems because I like words so much. Mine are usually long. But what I did was I actually became a student today, and I Googled everything. And as I'm a retired teacher, I didn't just Google, I took notes. And, you know, I said, I've got this. And so basically what happened was I had so much joy just all by myself in front of my computer writing things down about, you know, what's a haiku, and I kind of knew that, but I wanted to get it right. And then what's a tanka and sijo, and then I found Cinquan, and I went on and on. I mean, I went on and on to the point where I found out, you know, so many different forms that require a skill which I didn't have. So basically I said, well, I want to become good at this, so I better practice. What I did do, and I want to tell you the process that I had chapters and chapters of poetry that are yet to be published, but they were all different kinds of poetry. Poems on nature, poems on existential being, which many people don't even care about. But, you know, I had poems on things, each poem, poems of love. And so I went back to those poems. And what I did was, my process was to take the poem itself and make it into this form. And that whole concept of less is more, you know, so you take out words, which is very hard for a poet to do, to say, I don't need this word, I don't want this word, I need to get a form here. So I chose haiku, and then I chose tanka because tanka is identified as the big brother of haiku. That's basically what it's called. It's an AKA big brother of haiku. So haiku is 575 in terms of syllables, but tanka is 57577. See? So I said to myself, I'm going to do one of each, just to prove that I could be a good student. And I know, because when you're a teacher, you tend to think, you know, I know all I need to know, but now it was me being a student. Are you a good student? Okay, I can tell. I can see it in your eyes. Okay, it's all there in the eyes. All right, so my haiku is as follows. Many people who come to visit me call my home, which is a beautiful concept, they call my home the house of grace, Now, I did not create that. It's what people tell me when they come to my home. And I can't think of anything nicer than having someone say, I love your house. It's a house of grace. So, and it's not an extraordinary home in terms of size, but it's a home in terms of where everything is, in terms of its ability to create magic, which is what I'm all about. Magic. Okay, you got it? Okay. All right, so here's the first poem, A House of Grace. Place of no limits, my home, my sanctuary, sacred space of love. And that is my haiku. Tanka, the big brother of haiku. You see what I mean by that? Okay, all right. In branches above, two mourning doves proclaim love, not hidden by leaves, basking in the sun as one, the first miracle of spring. Okay, thank you.
Our lectern seems to be moving, so I'm just going to readjust. A couple of fairies were pushing it along. All right, back to the schedule. I would like to ask Steve Anderson to speak.
Hey, it's great to be here tonight. I want to thank America's Hometown Laureate, Jennifer Harris, and also this is the first time I've been to the Plymouth Society House. So if you're watching this out there, this is worth the visit. Come and see. As I've gotten older, I've begun to think more about my life and what happened in the past, or in the alternative, the grandkids live 4 hours away, and when we drive down, we listen to jazz. So I don't know if it's the jazz or getting older. I'm going to read something that you might not recognize as a haiku, but that's your choice. So it's called Perspective. When I was a kid, we had a summer place, a battered survivor of the 38 and 54 hurricanes. Matriarch of the marshes, she stirred, swayed, illustrious at water's edge, sometimes beyond. Dad, a precision machinist before circuit boards, insisted the Dowager was 1 mile, 5,280 feet, from right turn off Route 6 East, no more or less. In years before Little League, Girl Scouts, he maintained, over subtle spousal disfavor and Gregorian calendar, summer season commenced last weekend in April. Sweatshirts, not swimsuits. Turn on gas, water, calibrate ancient appliances, evict long-tailed winter tenants, ventilate, inspect, repair, sweep, scrub, spray, sanitize. Either anxious for first sharp smell of salt air or maximize return on investment, he glowed. 6 years old, home from school, supper, pack, bathroom, sleeping back with sister. Route 6 turned, tumbled, twisted, awakened, traveled rigid, rough, rutted road, plunged into potholes, bounced back, crept over black holes, crept past black holes of closed cottages, curtains drawn, shutters secured, pilot lights extinguished. Car cruised to conclusion, headlights illuminated backyard, populated by paralyzed rabbits. Doors swung open, cottontails disappeared. Dad cautioned, pellets of poop. We commenced delicate dance to back steps. Mum, Steve, look up. Concerned with clean souls, no response. Stephen, look up. There on a cold, dark, late spring Bristol County night, the Milky Way, endless possibilities. Now you might recognize some of these more as traditional haikus. That's up to you. And at least the first ones I think are humorous, so I'm not going to ask for a laugh, but maybe a quick smile. So this first haiku is called Haiku Time. High school reunions and Zoom, same desperate cry. Where'd everybody go? Haiku peril. Danger for marriage. After deliberation, she got hearing aids. Observations that I think you can make that haiku really helps you concentrate on. This one's called Haiku Light. Beam on grandchild's face, brighter than explosion of any supernova. These are comments on politics, but not comments on politics. So haiku pronouns. It's we the people, not eternal argument, us, we, or they, them. Haiku, confirmation haiku. Talk to like-minded. Listen to gray cells go away of polar ice cap. I think that philosophy, physics, and poetry are related. I don't know how, but I think they are. And I like to listen to books on physics when I walk, and I understand 25 words. It's only the last 25 words. I can understand nothing further than that. But I was listening to a book, and I concluded that Einstein had screwed us up. Not science, but society. So this haiku is called Einstein. Each observer has valid viewpoint, good physics, but lousy civics. Gail and I had the chance to go to Amsterdam recently, and we went to the Anne Frank house, and it's something. I can't describe the Anne Frank house. I don't think there are words to do that, not enough, not a few. But this haiku is what I observed the people doing at the Anne Frank house. Anne Frank Museum. Behind bookshelf, no one talks. Everyone listens. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And we're going to add Graham Shea. Would you like to come?
Yes.
Thank you.
I hope not. Well, thank you for having me. Miriam, thank you. I have 3 in 1. So tanka, sidru, and haiku. So I will start with the tanka. And I guess in this presentation I've named each of my poems. I don't know if that's allowed.
It's your work.
Okay, so we'll start out with tanka. The title, Metal Inside Granite. As days grow cold, the docks, chains splitting, weakness below. Out in the middle of the channel, a barge full of granite. I jump. They drop the granite, and I am rescued. All right, so, Siju? The wind will stay still. The wind will pick up. Wind blows flowers. Wind blows tree trunks. Wind is on the water. Wind sunk us in. Wind is wind is wind is the wind. And then haiku. Nature's light. Sun bowl, room, light fills. Early evidence, spring blooms. In the window, I write poetry. Thank you.
They don't pay me enough for this.
fairies took the podium away.
Yes. Thank you, Graham. Okay, next we have Louise Vieira. It's your turn now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I have 4 modern haiku which do not follow the 575 pattern. I have 2 short poems, and then I have 1 haibun, which is prose with haiku, modern haiku. So, first haiku. My father's people were from the Azores, and this refers to that. Island mountain people, the transplanted hydrangea, never quite as blue. Anniversary dinner, watching the spring lambs, watching the sunset. And this next one was actually published in Modern Haiku. The wheat bends, her last word, stay. And in 2018, the last northern white rhino male died, so there are no more. They are, and this is in reference to that. Taps, the white rhino raises his horn. This is a short poem. My middle grandchild was born with a rare chromosomal deletion disorder called Cri-du-chat. You've probably never heard of it. We never heard of it either, but so be it. This is called the Old Sewing Drawer for Liliana. Your coiled curls spool like thin threads in the wooden drawer my mother opened to mend all that was torn and tattered and frayed. How their thin colors shone in the needle's fine eye, how your fine spirals catch the day's light, and how my mother's hands still reach to stitch your scattered ends. This next small is a short poem, and it's a comment on, I don't know, progress or not lack of. Once we were hooked, sharp-toothed and furred, feathered and hollow-boned. We did not file our claws. We dug deep. We rooted and grunted. We cawed. We ate the earth. We burrowed into the magic and the darkness. We soared into the day's breath. Once we had wings. Until that moonless night, we lifted our eyes and moved on and never gave it a second thought. This is, the last one is a haibun, which I said is, kind of prose and haiku. And this is for, it's called Day Song for Eliana. The rain has no voice without a shoulder to fall upon. Violin practice. Isn't it always the light, the angle, the hue, the way dust in sunlight comes alive, then settles on your shoulder, your cheekbones, the tips of your lashes, that one straight shaft from the attic window. Eliana in the light. The day, the time, the violin does not matter, is of no import, except that I hear music, a note, a squeak, a squall, a song more beautiful than a crosswind crossing a field of fine seagrass in springtime, when the moon bends and bows and swirls its yellowed skirt. Will you play for me on the bridge a weary tune when I lay mine down? Bow and string upon your shoulder, out there in the woods where I walked the dogs before you were born. Pines pierce the mist, a good day to cross over. If no one minds, Ellie composed a little something, if no one minds. Maybe you should stand here, Ellie, because you're tiny.
Here, I'll help her with that. She doesn't need any help.
This one is called The Spring is Here, and I just made it while some people were doing poetry. The rain pours in spring, day and night. When the rain stops, I go outside. The spring flowers bloomed. The spring bell ringed. Spring is here. Oh, spring is here. Oh, spring is here. Oh, is here. Oh, I am happy. Spring is here.
And that was a perfect example of the free pads of paper that we're giving away. You completed my vision. Thank you. All right, we have a few more to go. Jen Pip is up next, please.
Hello, everybody. Very grateful for this shared moment, for everyone in this room and beyond. Yeah, I have 3 pocket poems, no format known beyond that, and a longer poem that has the word tiny in it. So, I know, right? There you go. We're winning. I'm not going to say much more. The first poem is called Touch. Haven't been writing much, the pen is out of touch, the sky is out of ink, wonder what you think. Time ran out of sky, only you know why, except you are me and everything I see. For now is later, master contemplate. First things first, find my son, nothing has been undone. I read that out of rhythm, but anyway, that happens. Okay, on to the next one. I guess I'm a little out of touch. The knowing is flowing, tainting last painting, still but not shrill, empty yet fill. So we let go, unknowing we know, beginning meets end, forever best friend. Sweet became sour, another new hour, until next time, forever still mine. And then we have outside. Perhaps you can't imagine, I don't dream your dream. The ad script never took root, so I subtract. Desires from nuclear culture, castles and kingdoms, rules and fake bridges, slide away, melting butter, no dish. People clamor, looking for sustenance, seeds under the pavement ready, the force of time no longer shy. And then we have Bang. You know, and for me, poetry is kind of like rituals, and there are certain poems that, you know, others have written or that I have written that shift. You know, all poetry does that, but some does it more than others, and I find that this one always leaves me in a little bit of a better place. So, hoping that this does that for you all. We were all once smaller and smaller and smaller. We were once so small that we were almost nothing at all. Tiny pieces of life, barely just there. If you flash backward, is there ever nothing? Does that make more sense than always something alive, making something alive, even if it was tiny? Back when there was only bacteria, only plants, only atmosphere, only electricity, only not only knows how the universe folds, how time weaves, how to spark, think, feel, and see. We don't ask, we just believe the rich 3D renderings of the universe bagging into existence. Back to Earth, year 2022, I am 42, oops, 43. Either way, somewhere in between the very beginning and infinity. Over the last year, it struck me that it has become more and more clear I will not pull a thread of DNA from my strand and pass it into someone else's hand. How narrowly we are defining the distribution of DNA. Family line, the race, the region. What happens if I survive, but we don't? In this global age, the DNA of Earth is my parameter. The mother web, that is my lineage. The end. But bang, here it is again. So see, was the bang really the beginning? It's a hard concept to swallow. You best gulp it down. Bang, and we get a second chance, a third chance. It's hard to know how long this has been happening. How long has the universe been banging? Are we in the middle of an infinite cycle? Misting the twisting, spinning of the planet, pushing the stars around the globe with our heads tucked deep into our little houses. Our wires tied together like the shoestrings of thrifty strangers sending signals around the earthen dome. Bang, the seas are rolling as our feet touch the ground again. We know that people have come before and will come after. Children drag sticks behind them as they trace the edges of the universe. Townspeople gather around the fire and look for messages in the sparks. Little is said because words are no longer necessary. We sing the song of the story of the land, which is the story of the universe. We learned it from the whales the year we learned to listen. That was the year we untied the wires. That was the year we learned to dream.
And now we have Alan Howarth.
Try not to trip over these wires here. We made it.
Where's your harmonica?
You know,
Oh,
not that somehow I don't think haiku kind of lends itself to harmonica, but since you mentioned, there you go. So I'm very excited because I've never had a chance to read these haiku of mine ever. So you're going to be the first listeners, hopefully not the last ones. I call this actually natural variations. Silver crystals fill the air from the tufts of cotton up above and wet the earth with life and dye. Ice cream top mountains melt away under sunny warmth and fill the stream of life. The ground is alive, dew-covered stems awaken and stretch up to the sky. Seahorse of the water, hide me in your resting place. Tranquility will be mine. Life beating constantly within my breast, do not stop until my work is done. Reds and greens and blues divide and fill my global kaleidoscope with mixed impressions. Rocks and pebbles lying on the sand, all will be dust someday. In the midst of a mud-filled pool, one lotus blossom grows. A rainbow arch across the sky invites me to follow an unending path. Yellow tinted butterfly, where are you going? I would follow if I had the time. Thank you very much.
And now we're going to close out with our own Plymouth Poet Laureate, Miriam O'Neill.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for inviting us to do tiny poetry. I avoid it. So it was a really good practice. And then I found myself just falling in love with it. But because I write longer poems, I had to write a series. So I'm going to read you a Shijo series. If anybody has ever seen the documentary film Free Solo about Alex Honnold, who scaled the Yosemite, the face of Yosemite, it's amazing. So I watched that, and then Francis died. And then between those two, I began to think about seeking, because they were both seekers in very different ways. So these are three Shijo, a series in three. Number one is for Alex Honnold. And most of this is his words. You'll see what happens with the words. Preparation is about being a warrior because life depends on your being able to pursue your dream. Your own fear is the blossom that will metamorphose into ripe fruit. Performance. Dial it in if that's what it takes to make it happen. Trust yourself, underline, double, exclamation point. As you are trying, you fall and die, what did you expect? Hollow flake, which is a place on the scale, on the face. It's probably easier for both of us if you leave me here and don't witness me chalking my way toward the light. My blossom, the maybe dying on the rock face, that is my life. After heart's ledge and hollow. Flake, hard breathing, and the ballet between air and crevice. The exposure, the step out, the karate kick, the crimp. Why have the birds not stopped singing, not stopped their dazzling winging? Final pitch. O world, O wide world, O spilled summer light, now I am warrior come home, wet, ripe, and delighted in my not dead body, my sudden second flowering. So number 2 in the series is a play on the name of the film, Non lo so, which is Italian for I don't know. A Cijo series for Francis. Preparation means knowing your own humanity because life depends on your willingness to serve the dream of a kinder world. Open the blossom of your fear into a prayer you sing each morning. Performance. Even when you walk in doubt, you are still God's child. Trust your path. Double, underline, exclamation point. And if you feel yourself failing, know the trying made you. Hollow flake. It's never easy to face the world alone, so hear this good news. The world is chalked, if only faintly, by the holy light. So blossom, stake your soul on ripening into kindness. After heart's ledge and hollow flake, fill your lungs with deep breaths, steady the pulse of your human heart. Step out, grasp the hand of the needy stranger asking for your help. Hear the birds who never give up their praising. Final pitch and summit. O world, O wide world of singing birds, bearing bright witness, know he is of heaven, his soul ripe in the Lord's delight, that from his unresurrected flesh the holy dove takes flight. 3. Doubt and Faith, a Cijo series for the seeker. Preparation. I learned how to bow my head in silent prayer. Humility included my lips' soundless shaping of the words, O Lord, hear our prayer, the only vocal supplication. Performance. How long should a child be made to kneel before the altar? Trust in God. Double, underline, exclamation point. What does it mean to believe in Jesus when you are 7? Hollow flake. It's probably easier if you think God's as real as dirt, to feel the breath of the Holy Father like a feather on your cheek, to stake your life unknowing you're allowed to falter. After heart's ledge and hollow flake, the jitterbug between the once learned and the daily lesson, the karate kick in the ribs of a faith that buckles it a bit before it stands back upright, finds you, and steadies you. Final pitch and summit. O world, O wide world of dying, singing birds above this cliff, concussed by war to deafness, I am furled with fear, but trying to coax this battered blossom open, to ripen into fruit. Okay. And I probably ate up a lot of time on that one, so I'll just do, I have a little Tonka series, just 2 Tonka that, a diptych, if you will. And then after Miyazawa Kenji, who we read when we were reading the example, he was in the examples that Jennifer and I chose. It's called Tonka Series, Last Day. That day, the clock ticked, a halyard against the mast, as if tapping out the time to keep him traveling a sea he had forgotten. Carried him, lungs a taut, hard knot, surging, his bruised heart all ballast broken, his flesh a cargo that could not reach port, nor fog the breath. And then to lighten things up, I went to France. No, not literally. I went to France to the Triolet, which is a little 8 syllables, 2 couplets of 8 syllables, and it's 8 lines. This is called, there are 2 of them. The Lover's Lament, a Triolet. How loud you snore, my love, how deep since first it was you came to sleep beside me. Through years, most often sweet, how loud you snore, my love, how deep. No easy drift to dreams, at least no quiet count of jumping sheep. How loud your snore, my love, how deep since first it was you came to sleep. The Other Lover's Lament, a Triolet. Oh, I have rolled you once or twice from side to side while you lay sleeping, nose whistling in the dead of night while I listen. It isn't nice to ask your love to pay the price to lie awake instead of dreaming. So yes, I've rolled you once or twice from side to side while you lay sleeping.
Well, did anyone else have a haiku that moved them? If not, I want to thank everyone. Today, you made this all happen tonight. So thank you all to all the poets, the new people we've met. I will just ask you to put in your calendar, America's Hometown Laureates. We're going to have our Plymouth Poetry Festival. We have secured Uva Wine Bar on Tuesday, June 3rd at 5 p.m. I know that the poets like to drink their wine, so that's always a good turnout. And also First Friday at Inky Hands Gallery on June 6th at 7 p.m. So I'll get some information out to you folks, but at this point, I will bid you adieu and thank you so much.